is that the people born and grown up and trained in this kind of a system and a structure, they don't get along. When they come together, they're all like incompatible parts that no mechanic can put it together to create a car out of it, to create a society out of it. It's impossible. So what are you going to do? You want to go like those guys in the last century to create a religion and call Monday Shakespeare Day and try to create some sets of rules, and do you think it's going to be followed? People don't follow that either. They cannot make religion, it seems. It's a natural defense mechanism that comes in the world. Just like the nature has everything in it for our physical need, there are also a spiritual design and solution in this universe that will be evolved, and it will manifest itself in the form of a revelation. Revelation of God in the form of the true religions such as Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, and the Baha'i faith. It's just like the nature itself. We can't live without nature. All our need, food, all the things that we need, even the solution to our sickness and diseases are all in the nature. The same force behind formulating this nature has revealed these books. This, I cannot call it an ideology, I have to say revelation. Prescriptions. It's brought this ideology, prescription, for prevention and for curing the things, and it looks very much, it's got a lot of affinity between it and the nature. So it's up to us to study the problem and then to find out if there is something has been evolved. When you come to the point that you see that we do need family structure to create a strong characters under the love of mother and father, then you have to know to see what can unify to create this diversity that's out there to become compatible diversities. Either you have to create one or see if somebody's created one, look after it and see what you can do. That's what Baha'ullah has done in the East. As West was developing by the planet Earth, mainly by the English people, as they were building Canada and United States as a new pattern, a new system, a world, a reconstruction of old ideas into a new government, into a new system, which seems everybody likes it. In the world, everybody wants to become a Canadian or Australian or Americans. It seems at the same time, hand in hand, in Iran, Baha'ullah around the same time has revealed Baha'i faith. There's an exact formula to govern over countries like Canada. There's so much affinity between them. It just seems Canada is the body and the Baha'i faith is its soul. This is what we have to understand. This is the spiritual leadership. We don't understand, the lack of it is going to cause all these problems that we have. Just imagine how much money, under Medicare in Canada, we pay and spend for the dysfunctional individuals that are brought up from dysfunctional families. So many syndromes these children, these poor children have. Because there's no real mom and dad, or they're dysfunctional, they're drinking, they're depressed, they're fighting, they're on cocaine, they're on crack, they smoke, they drink. So the children's in a sick womb, they're coming up and they're all sick. How much money we're wasting on this, and how much we are making to mankind to suffer. The right of unborn is not decided, is not even legislated yet. That a child who is not born and a potential human being that is going to come out of the people that are sick, that are dysfunctional, it creates another poor human being that has to be living in these circumstances. Do you think it is fair for that person to grow up in that sort of circumstances? You may go ask every one of them in Canada and United States. All those children, they say it's unfair. That as a child they were not protected, they were not taken care of the way they were supposed to be by their mom and dad, simply because they were not capable of doing it. And there was no system. Social and economical system, you can't go bigger than Canada. I think 1,000 years the social order is still there. What's lacking is something else. The component of family is missing. You know, there are so many wrong legislation that are competing against the father and mother, even if they want to train their children, they can't. The law and preventing them, you know. When in a society with respect to the homosexuals, when in a society a child is being recognized that it can be living with homosexual parents, although they would love him equally probably just like the heterosexual parents. But can you imagine that poor child when he goes home and they ask him, what's your mother, who's your father? What would that poor child have to say? Why do we create this kind of minorities that are hurtful? They're not real minorities, that are hurtful to the human being. And we're just leading to that more and more and more and more. Lack of a spiritual leadership is crumbling the entire United States and Canada into a serious fiasco. And all of your witness, you can see the immigrants, that they're coming from sound families, usually from the East, from India, from China, from Arab countries, from Iran, or even from the Eastern Bloc in Europe, from China. They're all doing better than other people that are born in Canada. Children that are born in Canada, they're weaker than the average, with respect, per capita. They're weaker than the immigrant kids. I mean, use the statistics. This is more than obvious that a stronger family values in the immigrants, especially from Middle East, have created a stronger, better personalities. I'm not saying more honest. I'm not saying better people. Not in that way. I mean a stronger, healthier, mentally healthier. They're capable of getting more stress. You know, the other children, poor children, they are born in this country. Lack of structure, family structure, has caused these things. Why? Because there's no spiritual understanding and leadership to say that we need Baha'ullah. We have to teach this faith. We have to legislate to put money into it, to teach this faith, because it creates a family in which all the religions of the world are respected, a different system. It creates individuals in this sort of family that is not against anybody in the world, that knows how to consult and cooperate and collaborate with a religion of a different kind. This is the particularity of the power of the Baha'i faith. We don't understand that we need it, and we keep legislating this and that and that and that. The family laws in Canada and all these new countries are so lame, so ill-defined, that the psychologists, they all have to be sent, I don't know to where, that they have understood that, you know, the father's feelings are less than mother when it comes to the children. what criteria they use to say this. This is absolutely unfair, ill-defined, unhealthy, and wrong. There's no money, there's no budget, there's no force to say that for protections of the family, we're going to do things to keep the family stronger. Instead of sending both mom and dad go to work, and the child to be sent to brought up by society outside of his natural place that it should be. Then as a result, it will affect us. We have so many mental cases. We have so many dysfunctional people. And unfortunately, the target is Anglo-Saxon race, mostly. They're the ones that are getting hurting more than anybody else. It seems Indians with their culture are strong enough that this materialism does not penetrate them. Largely Muslims, are like that too. Even the Jews are pretty good too. But just as Anglo-Saxons, because they don't have a particular religion or they're tired of it, all their social, all their spiritual leaders end up being child abusers. They did not do their functions. They collected all the money, built all these buildings and churches. But when it comes to render their duty, they all stained themselves so badly that nobody can trust them anymore. And then what are we left with? Hollywood becomes the Ayatollah TV. That's where we have to go. From Ayatollah, we go to Ayatollah TV. Whatever Ayatollah TV says, people follow. This guy, that guy. They're creating so many fanatical